Welcome to the session about real-time application monitoring with our tool CanaryCode. Before I start, I want to give you a hint why we named it CanaryCode. Actually, you know the little birds which were flying around in the mines, and when they did not come back, then you know that something happened in the mine, so you need to go away and out. That's actually what we are doing, the same thing with CanaryCode. There's also a little bird which is flying around the SAP system and the Beyond stack and is checking that everything is working well. So that's why we came to the name CanaryCode. My name is Dirk Bieler and I'm the Chief Architect of CanaryCode in our company. And I will give you some insights what we are doing with CanaryCode. First of all, I have a question to you. How good is for you good enough in your system landscape? You have some figures which you want to share with me? Is it 99% uptime, 80% uptime, you're satisfied with it?
It would depend on the application itself.
Okay, good. We say the question is, from my side, is 99.9% already good enough? Or is it something which you say, it can't be good enough, but it can be much better? Now, I have two examples. You know, in the world, every day, 250 billions of email were sending around. It's amazing, it's incredible. When I was doing a research for that, I was, oh shit, that much traffic. And you know, 2.15 million do not receive any recipient of the email. So if you compare that one, it's incredible. Even if you look to Google, there are a lot of searches you enter in Google every day. In some, it's 3.5 billion of search requests which you're entering, and 3.5 million of Google search does fail. That's why we are asking, how does your SLA level needs to be set up? Is 99.9% of uptime okay? What does it really mean in the IT world? 99.9% uptime means 8 hours and 45 minutes downtime per year. And that's already a big number. I mean, that's the unplanned downtime of a system. If you put it to 99.999, that means 5 minutes downtime per year. And if we go to what we declare, or what is declared as Six Sigma, 99.997 means 1 minute and 30 seconds downtime per year. It's an incredible number, and I'm not sure if you will make that, but we have a tool which I present to you which can support you with that. 67% of SAP customers has a downtime of 9 hours per month at the moment. You having SAP in place? How much downtime do you have?
I don't know that number.
Okay.
Both for our application side and our HANA.
Okay.
Both SAP.
Okay.
Components.
You have as well SAP in place?
Yes, but I don't know that.
Okay. I have the agenda which I want to give you some insights to. So I give you an overview who we are, basically how long we are in the market, what we are doing. Then I have a slide which we call Datavard IoT. That's a combination of everything, of all our tools and services which we are building. And I will show you how CanaryCode can support you in that area. Then I will give you an overview where we started in the architecture, some use cases that you know what we can do or what you can do with it from our customers, and then your key takeaways. Starting with that, Datavard is a company which is very long on the market. We are well known in most of the cases as a system landscape optimization company. That's where we started with in 1998. We were at a lot of customers, maybe also in your house, but not in the name of Datavard, sometimes in the name of SAP, because we do a lot of stuff for SAP as well. That's why maybe you know some of my colleagues from the faces, but you don't know that they are working at Datavard. We are delivering, just for your information, around about 300 to 400 projects per year. That's matter of SLO as well as of implementing CanaryCode, rolling out some archiving solutions or other projects which we are doing. Our focus is on every SAP customer, so we are only doing SAP. That's the focus which we have, and that's on the other hand as well our strengths, because that's what we can talk about, and that's what we eat every day. So that's our strengths and focus there. We have our own solutions that's coming from our experience in the SLO environment. We created some, if some of our technical consultants needed to do things twice, then we started to create a tool for it. And when we got the feeling that a lot of customers have the same problems, then we started to really build up a tool with it, which we have then in the market. We are also SUSE partner since already 2 years right now, because you know SUSE is the major operating system for HANA, and HANA is the future of SAP. But that's why we are partnering together, because we're delivering the monitoring solution for SUSE, and SUSE is the preferred vendor for HANA. So that's why we are partnering together. Some insight about Datavard IoT. You can see that's basically the split in 3 different areas. The first one is the data growth and data distribution or classification. That's one of the biggest problems SAP customers have, because the systems are getting every time bigger and bigger. You have a lot of other data which you want to include in your daily processes, like geographical data, weather data, and such kind of data. On the other hand, you have the performance. You need to make sure that your system is as performant as it can be, or in worst case, that you find out, okay, I'm with my hardware limited now, I need to do a move. I need to change to something else. And that's one part of what we are looking for. The other area is user behavior. That means we are checking in your system, what are the users doing? What is the most critical transactions which they are doing? If they do BW, for example, what is the queries which they are executing every day with which selection? So we can make sure and support you there that this is running in a good speed. Out of that, we see part of data access, because that's very important, and it's coming more and more important in the future. Even if you look to HANA, you cannot have that big HANA system, because it's costing a lot of money, first of all for license, and on the other hand as well on the hardware. But that's why data access is a very, very important point where you need to take care about. And on the other hand, response time. A lot of customers, and I think that's the same for you, if you're speaking to your end users, they're always claiming the performance is not good enough. That's always. But how can you make sure that you have the really best response which you can react on? How can you make that sure? You always have to balance from your side that, okay, that's the only thing how it can be. Or you say, well, we can be much faster if you do, for example, some archiving, because if you look now, we have 10 terabytes of data in the system, and you're using only a small piece of data. If we archive the other part of the system, then we have a lot of better performance, which you also then reflect in your response times. And of course, the user experience. There is a lot of things going on now within SAP. You know, the classical GUI is going away, it's going into Fury, it's new applications which are coming up. You have a lot of smaller transaction times, and you need to make sure that these things are running smoothly. On top of that, we have some benchmarking. That's what we are doing in all of the customer systems. We're collecting technical data to support you these benchmarks. For example, if your user are claiming this transaction is not running as fast as it could be, then you could check, okay, how is it compared to the other customers? How is it running there? So you see a benchmark, and you can talk to your end user and say, well, compared to the benchmark, we are better, or yeah, you are right, we need to do something. On top of that, you have the possibility of reporting, which is very important also towards the management, because you need to make sure that the system is up and running, and sometimes they see it if the users can log on, but for you also need to have some reliable information that you can make sure that you get budget for doing an upgrade, that you get budget for moving towards HANA to make sure everything is running more smoothly and stable. And of course the forecasting, which comes a bit together. You can simulate with our tools how your system will act in the next 1 to 2 or 3 or 4 years. We have some modules where you can simulate how the growth in your system is. So by when your storage will be end. That's some part which you can use. And that's for us the beauty of IT operations in Datavard. As I said, therefore, we have some tools, starting with data management. That's a very important point for us, because if you're looking to HANA, if you are not yet on HANA, then that's really a point which you need to check and make sure that the data which you're using is the one which you need, and the other one you can do into an archive. IT operation and reporting, that's again for us something which I already mentioned. You have a dashboarding which you can use and showing to your management. Performance tuning, this is something which I will show you again in use cases. That's something where we have the tool CanaryCode, which gives you a very, very deep insight into your system, how it is reacting and what are the bottlenecks in your system. Also capacity management, what I mentioned before, how much is your system growing, by when is the stop where you cannot grow any longer, when is the turnover where you need to have new hardware. That's some things what you can find out here. And on top of that, if you're moving to HANA, you still have your old ERP system somehow standing. And if you have some auditors which are coming, they want to have also to have a look into the old system. So you need to find a way how you can park that system, but it is still accessible if the auditors want to see it. And that's what we also have as application retrieval, where we have software for it. Where did we start? Actually, creation of CanaryCode was a question from one of our customers. They were coming to us and saying, well, you know, we have now 5 monitoring solutions in place. We have Solution Manager, we have HP OpenView in place, and a lot of other tools, but always, if we have a problem, we figure it out when the end user are calling us, our boss, and telling us, oh, the query is not running that fast as it was before. Can you make sure that, that we have the same speed as before? That's why they ask us, could we combine these 5 tools into one, so that we really see on one screen when we have a problem there. And that's where we started with. So we started with creation a tool, and behind that, the challenge was that, yeah, more and more applications are running on SAP now, and if you look maybe as well in your company, it's not only ERP, it's not only BW, it's a lot of more where you need to take care about. And on top of that, you need to make sure that the new things which are coming, like HANA, like Fiori, that you also have an eye on that, and that you know how to deal with that one. You saw it on some slide before. 67% of that mission-critical applications have a downtime for 9 hours per month. And that's not acceptable. Even if you look to the next points, what is the business impact if you really have an outage? It's not only that a system is down. In some business, you also need to pay some penalties if your system is down, if the customers cannot order something. And that gives you a big invest of money, which you need to do in terms if you have really a downtime of the system. Sorry. Also the growing of the data. I mean, as more data as you have in your system, of course the system is going slower, because always it needs to go to bigger tables and checking the information what you need. And the impact on that goes really negatively on the performance as well as on costs in. Think about your quality system, think about your backups and all that things. That's all the costs. That's why we created a solution to have a near real-time monitoring solution to make sure that your system is up and running and that you have the best performance as you can be, and that you know if there is an impact before your business is calling you and telling you, well, we have a problem. The biggest thing what we wanted to achieve was that we can separate the business impact or the business problems from the technical problems. Of course, if you have some business critical process which is slower or which fails, there is always a technical things behind. But I don't want to get alert if the processor speed is about 80%, if there is no impact on my business, because then I don't need to take care about. Only if there is an impact there. That was the focus where we worked on, and that's what we achieved with the tool. Thanks to our partnership with SUSE, as well as SAP and Hadoop, we have a lot of KPIs, which allows us also to monitor directly on operating system from SUSE. Make sure that you have all your security patches installed and such things. That's coming with the beauty of the partnership with SUSE. And on top of that, we are just in the way to releasing our new innovation, that we have something on the SAP HANA Cloud platform, which you can use as well to do some deep dive into your system landscape. I will show you later on. That's some of the customers which are using it at the moment. Take Data, for example. It has still a 4.6C system in place. Their major ERP is running there, and they are using CanaryCode to make sure that their system is up and running. Coming to the architecture, how does it look like? So we have one central instance. Sometimes, or most of the customers are using a solution manager for it because that system is there and they don't know what to do with it, other than downloading support packages. So you install the transport in that system, and then you install the transport as well in the satellite systems. That can be ERP, BW, that can be also on top a non-SAP system. For example, if you only want to monitor a database server, that you can do as well with CanaryCode. So CanaryCode is then running in your central instance as well as in the satellite systems, and all the information is getting transferred to the central instance. So everything what you need to do if you want to make sure that your system is up and running good, you log on to the central system, and from there you have everything. In the central system, you have the KPIs grouped together into logical groups. There are some for databases, there are some for the BW, for ERP, business process monitoring, for governance, for security. All that things are grouped logical together, and you can find them in the main screen. You can correlate some of the indicators together to find out where they have the correlation and where maybe is the bottleneck in your system. We have some, we call it intelligent alerts, because that's something what you get. We have thresholds in the system. If something is above the first threshold, then you get just an information. But you know that's nothing where you need to work on so far. But if it is reaching the second threshold, then you get an alert which is an error. And then you know, now I need to log on into my system to make sure that everything is not falling down, so you can repair it before there is a major problem with it. You have all the logs from all the systems are in the central instance. So if you are in the central system and you have a problem in your system, then you can go to the root cause analysis tab and you can find out what is the root cause for my problem of that system, and from there then you jump to your system and fixing it. The installation is very easy. It's a transport request, so you just import it into the system, and then the only thing what you need to do, you need to add your satellite system to your central system It's just a click and you use the existing RFC connection. And then there is one button starting default monitoring. And then it's done. With the installation, you get all our best practices and knowledge in terms of benchmarks. These thresholds will be delivered to your site as well. So you have as well directly a threshold set it up. So if something is above that threshold, you will get informed. You can, of course, adjust these thresholds. Some of the customers are having different thresholds that you can, of course, do so that you have your specific things up and running. If you have questions, just feel free. We can do it right now. That's the main screen of CanaryCode, and that's only you need to use in case of a problem or you are configuring CanaryCode. Other than that, normally the users are not in touch with that screen. On the top left side, you have the so-called system view. Here you can add all your systems which you want to see. You can categorize them together into folders which you can create: productive system, BW system, test system, however you want it. Here at the bottom, you have these KPI groups. And here you can see the ones which are the black ones. That's the one which are actually turned on and which are running in the system. In the main screen, which you can see, you see some graphs already, which are the figures from the system. And you can see here, it's showing the system BTO. If you have more systems there and select it, you see more graphs here as well. Or if you have more application servers, for example, you see all the application server directly in that graph. On the top, you can see there, you can select the time frame. So if you're looking for some specific problem, maybe you got an alert for a warning in the night and you want to see what was going on there, then you can use the time shifter and shift the time or select the time zone which you want to see, and then you have all the informations there. In terms of the data which we are collecting in the satellite system are stored in the central system in cluster tables. So they are highly compressed, and they have a retention time. That's what I showed here in that graph here, or in that screen as well. The column with red means retention time. That's how long the data will be stored in your central system. Of course, also that you can change. With the new release, which we just released 2 days before, you also have the possibility to not store your data within the central system. You can also store it outside in any DB which you want to store it, or in file. So you're very flexible with that one as well on top. What do we monitor? We have different areas. One of that is the application and performance monitoring, where we make sure that the business transaction as well as SLAs or end users are getting monitored. That means, of course, system availability, performance of some transactions, performance of queries, all that things we are monitoring here, and we're sending out an alert in case there is something. Of course, if you're looking to the transaction monitoring, there, from our perspective, I mean, if one user is running that transaction and it's slower, then that's nothing where we need to get curious about. But if that transaction is getting slower again and again for more users, then of course an alert will be sent to you. Also, one important one is this IDOC monitoring. You know, that's the things which are running within the systems to make sure that if you create a sales order that they get delivered and all that things. If they are open or if they are not closed correctly, then you have big problems with auditors. Now there is the big benefit. Normally in the IT environment, you know that there are some open IDOCs, but you as an IT person needs to make sure that the right person is taking care about that IDOC. With CanaryCode, no. If there is a problem in an IDOC, then the person who created this IDOC and is in charge of that IDOC will automatically receive an alert that he should check his IDOC. So it's not longer on your shoulders that the IDOCs are running correctly in the system. It's on another person's shoulder now. Load and performance test, that's something what we are doing together with our automatic testing tool. So in case you're doing, you want to see how much you can get out of your system, how many users can work in the system, you can do some stress tests, you can monitor it and find out some potential bottlenecks. In terms of the, we call it app specific, like the HANA ones. In the area of HANA, since we were on the first migrations which were done from SAP, which was the biggest HANA systems ever they migrated, we did the migration, and from that experience, we know what is the important point in HANA. What do you need to monitor to make sure that the system is up and running? That's why we have a lot of KPIs, it's more than 100 in the meantime, which are focusing only on HANA. And here comes the work together with SUSE. We have some specific ones, for example, paging on HANA and operating system. You know if the memory is getting fuller and full. If it is above 80%, then your system is completely frozen and you need to reboot the HANA. It's depending on how big your HANA is. It's taking a long time. At our customer, it was 1 day till everything was up and running again. That's why we're monitoring that, and we're monitoring not only the used or allocated memory, we're also monitoring from SUSE the support nodes. So if they are changing something there, if there are new figures, then you automatically get an alert from CanaryCode, which is saying, there are some new figures from SUSE or SAP compared to your figures which you have in your system. Please check it and then adjust it to the new ones. And that's the same for security parameters. You know, if you do the HANA installation, you install your operating system, it's automatically then installing HANA, and you have a set of security parameters from that point when you did the installation. Afterwards, it's on your shoulders that you check it every week or every month if there is something new. This does CanaryCode for you. It's automatically checking if there are some news, and if they are relevant for you, you will get an alert to install it. Also the HANA high availability or disaster recovery, that's monitored from CanaryCode, so you don't need to take care about these things. It's done, and if in case there is something not going well, you will receive directly an alert. Also, if you go to BW, that was one of our first experience which we had because we started with our complete company in the BW area, and then we moved also to other products. Here we also monitor how your load is from your ERP system to your BW system. Is there something which is going slower? Is there some optimization which we can do for you to make sure that you do not need to wait a complete night till everything is done? And security and compliance is getting more and more dangerous every day. Also there we are having a lot of KPIs, and that's only a smart or short selection of KPIs which are checking your system to make sure that your system is running in a good way. For example, checking profile parameters, checking authorization profiles, if you have set it the right values in the authorization objects, or if an auditor is coming, then you have a problem if there is somewhere a star value or something like that. That's the architecture and what we monitor. Questions to that so far? Okay. Then use cases. That was one customer from Germany which want to make sure with his 100 most business critical transaction that they are running on 9.9.9%. So what we are doing there, we have a KPI which is checking all these transactions, and as soon as there is some changes in the response time, CanaryCode is sending an alert, and someone can check what is going on in the system. If do I need to do something? Do I need to react on it? Otherwise, my system will get slower. Next one was from a bank. They had 142 queries which they're executing every day from several users. So if you look at the bottom, the average runtime was more than 1 minute. So they had per day 1,148 hours where they are just waiting in front of the PC. And that's where they use CanaryCode to find out what is the root cause, what is the problem for that. And with that it was very easily, and then they saved these 948 hours. But that's typical use cases where customers using CanaryCode. Other one was system security. One of our customers had a lot of problems with not installed nodes, not the right authorization object. So we had a customer who had in his productive system sub all, users with sub all. Or they had, for example, the value set that you can change, that you can code in your productive system. And that's some things which makes your system unsecure. And that's where CanaryCode is directly identifying it and sending an alert. Last customer, this was ETL optimization. So that means if you load your data from your ERP to the BW system, it was very easy. The night was not long enough. So they needed to do something because they started at 5 o'clock in the evening and ended at, I don't know, it was 9 or so in the morning, but not ready for business. So we checked and find out what was the problem. They put it too much jobs which pushing the data from the ERP into the BW in one step. So BW system could not really write the data into the database server. And on the other hand, in the next process changes was like this, that in the ERP system, they put too much data, so there as well the database server was not fast enough to read the data and transfer it into the BW system. So these were the major problems which we had, and we reduced the daily nightly loads for 4.5 hours. How does it look in real life? Let's imagine you want to monitor the transaction VS01, because that's a transaction which is very critical for you, and how would then CanaryCode helps you with that? So in real life, if something is going wrong in your system, you will receive an email like that. Attached to that email, you have an HTML where you already can see on your mobile phone the graph, so what might be the problem for it. The yellow line, are the benchmarks which you have in your system. So the yellow one is a warning, and the red one means if it is above that, then you have a real problem. Okay, I'm starting the video. So CanaryCode has sent you the email, then you have the overview about it, and then you are logging on to your CanaryCode instance and using the transaction /dvd/mon. And then you have an intelligent folder which is called alerts. All KPIs which are above the threshold you will find in that folder. So you can see here that the number of transactions are above 4 seconds. Then you go into the logs to see what is going on, what work processes are running in my system. And then you find out that there are running some jobs in background which are taking a lot of CPU consumption. Someone started, of course it was in our system for a demo, some background jobs. And the alerts, or everything what is above the threshold, you find as well in the details, in the events tab. So you also have this information there. And from there you can also write down what you have done to find a solution for it. Because if your colleague has received or will receive the same mail, then it will automatically include the solution. So he does not need to search longer. He can directly rely on the information which you have entered there and can check the system. So that's a CanaryCode in daily life if you work with it. It's very easy to do. I have some more examples, some more use cases, not as video, but just for you to see how it works. This was one which happened in our system. You can see here that the memory, the used physical memory of our HANA box was nearly above 70%, but it was below our threshold. So actually, we were not recognizing that there is something going wrong in our system, but 10% more and the system would crash. But what we saw and where we received an alert was the data write ratio per host. So there was a big disk utilization in the system. That's why our administrator logged on into the system and figured out that we also have a problem with the memory. So he was checking everything and he found out that there is a new SAP node which is fixing that problem. So he needed to do a kernel upgrade and then everything was done. So that's why we have the system down. But that's the things how it works. From now on, we also have a line at 70% in our HANA box to make sure that we get informed that there is something which is getting crucial. Other example which I have, changes in debug mode and inactive users in the last 6 months. And that's coming with going to security and governance. You can see here, there is a number of changes in debug mode on the right-hand side, on the bottom. You can see there were a lot of changes in the debug mode. And on top, you can see a number of inactive users which are not logged on in the last 6 months, which are also problems if you have an auditor in your house. For the first one, you have a detail table where you can see what was this guy doing. So he was in SE16, he turned on the how is it called? I call it always Hoppel mode, the debug mode, and he did some changes in the table. And that you can monitor. You make sure that the system security is set it right. Also, inactive users, you get a list of all users which have not logged on in the last 6 months, so you can easily use that one and you can log them. Critical profile parameters, how does that work? So you have something, a KPI, which is called number of profile parameters with unexpected values. You get a list of that, and then you can see what is your current value and how you should change it to make sure that everything is running smoothly and secured. And this is also checking compared to the nodes which are coming from SAP. If there are some changes in terms of security, you will get as well an alert here and see that you need to change something. It looks like that you will see it in the graph. That's the graph exactly to that problem. So you see that there are 9 values which are not correct. And yeah, that's how you can work then in the system. We also have some management view because also here we want to go state of the art, and it gives you also as an IT person more insights into the system. So you have at one view, you have an overview about your system. You can see as well if you have had an alert in the system NSD, you see your average users which are logged on, as well as your average runtime in the system. Key takeaways for you. You have different views, like you just saw. You have for admins as well as for managers. You have the intelligent real-time alerts with the best practices, which we will share with you. You can go live with in 1 day. In most of the cases, it's faster. It's a bit pending on how fast you can install transports in your system. With the new release, you have not 300, it's more than 400 KPIs which we are delivering to you. And you have an SDK. If something is missing, then you can create your own KPIs by yourself. You have templates which you can just reuse, and you can create your own KPIs. In most of the time, it's taking longer to find out where, in which table you can get the data, instead of developing the KPI. If there is a KPI which you say, that might be interesting also for other customers, then you can get in contact with us and we will develop it for you. And you have this crowd-based error resolution library. That's what I mentioned. If you if you're receiving an alert, then you can document how you have fixed it. And in terms your colleague is getting or receiving the same alert again, then he will automatically receive as well the resolution how to solve the issue. You can download your free version. You can use a free version of CanaryCode directly under canarycode.com homepage. And we have it in 3 different versions. The first version is the community edition, which you can use for 1 productive and 2 non-productive systems. That you can monitor, and you don't need to pay anything for it. It's free. Just download it and use it. If you want to add any more productive system, you need to pay 199 euros per month. If you have 1 more additional productive system, then you are free to add all your non-productive systems which you have. And we have a premium edition which is coming out next year, where we want to enhance, and that's I have on the next slide, where we want to enhance this error resolution library. We want to put it in the way that all your things all your errors which you have, if you agree to that, we will store in a crowd knowledge. And in terms, some of the customers will get the same alert as you. We have the intelligence behind that. CanaryCode will search in the database and will send you or the other customer directly the solution which someone did to prevent this problem. Of course, we will also create some additional content in the future. We want to make sure that we can monitor success factors, business objects, and business one. That's some key things which we want to do. And on top of that, because we think that's getting more and more important, the IT emergency plan. There are, from our perspective, a lot of technical things which you can just monitor, where you don't need to have it on paper. It's just some things. You monitor it, and in case there is something wrong, you will get an alert there. With that, I'm done, and I'm happy that I have in our company CanaryCode up and running, and it's helping me that the system landscape is running smoothly. Thank you. If you have some questions, feel free.
So we have, there's a lot of some overlap in our environment. We're trying to place this as our company uses Splunk for other areas. And I know there's an Australian company that has some overlap with what you guys have. And I'm trying to place the single point solution possibly with, being able to correlate data not only from our SAP application and the OS stack, but also potentially the disk subsystem stack and the firewalls. So I can, possibly the problem we're having in SAP is not an OS or application layer issue, but possibly they pushed out new firewall rules last night. And that's what's causing our underlying issue. So I'm just trying to piece all the pieces together here in my mind, because I'm still new to SAP as well.
That's the beauty, because we have, since you can store your data in any database or in any format, so you can collect the data, what you have now with CanaryCode, and you can use it in Splunk as well to do some deep dive in it.
Okay, so you can export it.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what is the beauty there, because we know that we are strong, really strong within the SAP environment, and we know that there are a lot of things outside, which you just said, and there are other companies which has the more strength and more power there. That's why we have this connection to put it together.
Oh, very cool. Well done.
Thank you. So what would be, I'm interesting, what would be hindering you to doing a download of CanaryCode? Is there some way which you see? I mean, you get it for free, you just need to install it. Okay, that's fair. That's fair, yeah. What are the others, guys? Would you?
I don't know. I'm just in a hosting company.
Uh-huh.
And our customers perhaps need solutions to monitor their applications, but I don't know what those solutions are using now.
But you as a hoster can use it as well to make sure that the systems are up and running good.
In our company and system administrator, so there are SAP administrator. They
Mm-hmm.
are using some tools. I don't know which one.
Okay.
But I can help them now.
Uh-huh.
And I know to use CanaryCode class.
Yeah, okay. Because we have some hosters which are using it, even to monitor the SLA to make sure that they can also show the customer that they had the right SLAs behind. And maybe you also have some opinion there?
Well, I want to know about this code because I'm a sales engineer in SUSE.
Okay.
So I don't know how this thing do the code. But I have a question. Do you have some customers in Mexico or in Latin America?
We have customers which have used it during an SLO project, but not which have it now at the moment using it live with a HANA box.
Okay.
But you can be the first one if you want.
Okay.
Well, we use, the beauty here is as well that we use it also during our system landscape optimization projects. So there is really a lot of things which coming through. That's where for sure we have had it as well, because we did some projects in Mexico where we did HANA migration.
Okay.
And there we use it as well then. Okay, thank you.
By your booth, you get some documentation thing over?
You get the bottle, documentation. That's what we have with us. Documentation, I can send it to you, I can scan you, send it to you, or you will find it as well on the SUSE homepage.